And coming to the N-type semiconductor, so this type of semiconductor is obtained when a pentavalent material like antimony is added to a pure germanium or silicon crystal. So here each and every antimony atom forms covalent bonds with the surrounding four germanium atoms with the help of four of its five electrons. That means here the concept is while coming to a semiconductor, if it is a pure semiconductor, the atomic structure will be looks like this. So each and every for example, let's take it is a silicon. It is having the four valency electrons, and here also one silicon, and here also one silicon. So we can draw like this in the four sides. So if I draw like this, now it is a central silicon atom. This central silicon atom itself, it is having the four valency electrons, and here also these surrounding neighboring four silicon atoms are also having itself 4 4 4 and 4. But while coming to the central silicon atom, it is going to share one electron from the upper silicon atom, and here also this electron from the lower silicon atom, and here also one electron from the left side silicon atom and one electron from the right side silicon atom. So after sharing, then the central silicon atom is having how many valence electrons now? 8 number of valence electrons are there. So this type of sharing is called as a bonding, and it is called covalent bond. Why we are calling this one as a covalent bond means co means neighboring, okay, and valent means valency electrons. That means it is the central silicon atom is making some bonding by sharing the neighboring valency electrons. That's why it is called as a covalent bonding. And this covalent bonding is very sensitive to the temperature. If the temperature is increasing, these bonds are going to break. If one bond is breaking, for example, if this bond breaks, then how many electrons I am going to get? 2 electrons I am going to get. Before breaking the bond, these electrons are called as a valency electrons, and after breaking the bond, these electrons are called as a free electrons, which are really responsible for the conduction purpose. And coming back to our topic, that is N-type semiconductor, here the central atom, I mean it is a atomic structure of the pure silicon or the intrinsic semiconductor. So in this pure or intrinsic semiconductor, if once I dope either trivalent or pentavalent impurities, then the central atom will not be the silicon. The central atom becomes the trivalent or the pentavalent, whatever I doped. So here in the N-type semiconductor, that means I am doping the pentavalent impurity, that is antimony. So here the central atom is the antimony or the pentavalent impurity, and all the neighboring atoms are the semiconductor atoms. So now as it is atomic structure wise, so by the atomic structure wise we can define that the antimony is a pentavalent. That means it must have itself the 5 number of valence electrons, 1 2 3 4 and 5 number of valence electrons, and this electron belongs to this germanium, this electron belongs to this germanium, and this electron belongs to this germanium, and this electron belongs to this germanium. So now here the antimony itself is having the 5 number of valence electrons, and it is making the covalent bond with the neighboring 4 germanium atoms by sharing the 4 valence electrons of its one. So 5 plus 4 becomes is equal to 9. But to become stability, I require only the 8 number of electrons. That means 1 electron is excess, that is called as this excess electron. So these electrons are responsible for the conduction, or else this electron is loosely bonded to this atomic structure. So for the least amount of energy supply to this crystal, then immediately this electron will get out, and it is responsible for the conduction. Not only this as excess electron, if any one of the bond is broken due to the increase in temperature or increase in the potential difference, then automatically we will get the free electrons for the conduction purpose. So it is the concept regarding this N-type semiconductor. And if I'm going to the mathematical wise, we can directly say here that pentavalent are having the 5 number of valence electrons, and it is doped into the intrinsic semiconductor, which are called as a tetravalent atoms. Because 4 number of valence electrons will be there. So 4 plus 5 is equal to 9. That means 8 plus 1. So 1 extra electron will be provided. That means if huge number of pentavalents are doped, then I'm going to get huge number of excess electrons. So huge number of excess electrons means electrons will be having the negative charge. That means these are the negatively charged particle. So these electrons are having the negative charge. So the starting alphabet is a N. That's why we can call this one as a N type. So here I can say that N stands for the negative, so you can remember like this. So that's why it's called as a N type semiconductor, also negative type semiconductor. So it is a concept regarding the extrinsic semiconductor for both p type and N type semiconductor. And the one more concept is that from the both about two concepts, that is 1.1 and 1.2. So coming to the 1.3 topic, what it is that majority and minority charge carriers in extrinsic semiconductors. So generally the extrinsic semiconductors are the two type. One is the p type and second one is the N type. So we will see what are the majority and minority charge carriers. So coming to the p type, the majority charge carriers are the, as all of you know, that holes, and coming to the minority charge carriers are the electrons. And apart from both these two, one more charge carrier also will be there in the p type, that we will see later after this N type. So in the N type, the majority charge carriers are the electrons and the minority charge carriers are the holes. And apart from both these two, we'll be having the one more charge carrier. So these are called as an ions. So I will say which type of ions these are. So as we already explained that in the p-type semiconductors are also called as a acceptor impurities. That means the p-type impurities are also called as acceptor impurities. Why? Because in the p-type extrinsic semiconductor, it will be having the 3 plus, the mathematical expression is 3 plus 4, that becomes is equal to 7. So it required one more electron. That means it is always ready to accept one electron. So that's why these are called as acceptor impurities. And for example, if this vacant position once filled up with one electron, then we cannot call this one as an atom, we have to call this one as an ion. So filled up with one electron, that means this position is filled up with one electron, that is a negatively charged particle. That's why we can say this one as a negatively charged ion. So in the p-type extrinsic semiconductors, apart from holes and electrons, we are also having the negatively charged particles that are called as a negatively charged ions, or it can be also called as a acceptor ions. In the same case, while coming to the N-type semiconductor, so here the one point what I missed is that in the N-type semiconductor, this electron is always ready to get out. That's why these are called as a donor impurities. That means p-type impurities are called as acceptor impurities, and the N-type impurities are called as a donor impurities. Why? Because this structure will always ready to donate this electron for a little bit of energy supplying to this one. That's why it is called as a donor impurities. And if once this excess electron is donated, then what happens is that it is losing the negatively charged particle, right? So losing the negatively charged particle is nothing but here gaining the negatively charged particle. That's why I took the negatively charged ions. Here losing the negatively charged particle, that means here I have to get the positively charged ions. So like this positively charged ions can also be called as a donor ions. So by this concept you have to understand that in a p-type, not only the holes and electrons will be also having the negatively charged ions or acceptor ions. In the same case, in the N-type also, electrons, holes and donor ions will be there. So now the conclusion of this one is, what I'm going to say is that generally most of the people, what they think is that if I ask them that what is the charge of the p-type extrinsic semiconductor, then the answer I got is positive. And if I ask what is the charge of the n-type semiconductor, then I got the answer is negative, but its concept is completely wrong. But of course, why the people are getting such type of answers is that generally we explain that in a p-type semiconductor the majority charge carriers are the holes, so that's why they think that hole, I mean the positive charge will be there to the p-type, and coming to the n-type the majority charge carriers are the electrons, so that's why they think that the n-type is having the negative charge, but the concept is wrong. The net charge of the p-type semiconductor, net charge of the p-type semiconductor is neutral. In the same case, the net charge of the n-type semiconductor is also neutral. That means neither positive nor negative. Why? Because here the majority of holes are there in the p-type, but number of holes again becomes is equal to number of electrons plus acceptor ions, right? In the same case here also, the number of electrons is equal to the summation of holes, number of holes plus number of donor ions. That means the total positive charge becomes is equal to total negative charge, and here also the total negative charge becomes is equal to total positive charge. And in a piece of pure germanium or silicon crystal, no free charge carriers are available at 0 degree kelvins. However, as its temperature is raised to room temperature, then some of the covalent bonds are broken by heat energy, and as a result electron hole pairs are produced. These are called as a thermally generated charge carriers. So here what I said is that ions, and here also ions. So the ions are the immobile charge carriers. They can't able to move from one place to another place, just like the electrons. Okay, it is a concept regarding the ions. So it is a complete thing regarding the first concept and the first unit, that is introduction to semiconductors. So conclusion of this one is, first thing you have to understand the different types of materials, and the conductivity is high in metals and least in insulators, and the conductivity in semiconductor based upon the external conditions just like temperature and voltage we are applying to that one. And the second topic is the types of semiconductors. These are divided into the two types, intrinsic and extrinsic, and again extrinsic are divided into the two types, n-type and p-type. So the intrinsic semiconductor is a pure one without having any kind of other atoms into that one. The examples of are germanium and silicon. And if the total number of holes and total number of electrons are equal, then also it's one type of definition to the intrinsic semiconductor. And coming to the extrinsic semiconductor, we're doping something else into the intrinsic semiconductor. The dopants are the two types, trivalents and pentavalents. So if the trivalents are doped, then it becomes a p-type, and if pentavalents are doped, then it becomes the n-type. And p-type are having the holes and electrons and acceptor ions. N-type are having the electrons, holes, and donor ions. So due to all these three types of charge carriers in the p-type and the n-type, so the net charge of the p-type and n-type is neutral. So it is the overall concept regarding the introduction to semiconductors.